Good afternoon, guys. It's Working, bringing you a very quick update on Bitcoin. Hope you guys are having a wonderful afternoon. Looking at Bitcoin to the US dollar, this is the 4-hour chart on Coinbase, guys. And last time we spoke, Bitcoin had just broken down right on top of this area at 3,800, right in this zone here. I told you guys that as we were watching, this volume was still remaining very low, relatively speaking. Even though we had a lot of longs that were liquidated, longs still remained stacked relative to shorts. And we had the volume very low, guys. I told you there was a very good likelihood that price was going to end up breaking down. If it did, I told you it would probably come to this 3,600 support. We know there's a lot of support between 3,800 and 3,600. That's exactly what happened. Price came down, and it's been consolidating right on top of that 3,600 ever since, guys. And that 3,600 support is pretty relevant. We've wicked below it just a couple times here, but nothing. We've had no decisive break below that 3,600 zone. If that 3,600 zone does hold, guys, I think that'll be a rather bullish sign. If it does break down, if we get a break below there decisively, guys, I think it's going to be a fairly quick drop to at least 3,400 to 3,250, in my opinion. In fact, if we come out here and I look at the big picture, let me pull out to the weekly chart, guys, and I'll show you why. I think that's the case. Coming out here to the weekly chart, obviously we have a lot of support and resistance is a main reason why that's the case. But pulling out here on the weekly chart, guys, we can see you get a lot of perspective. In other words, this latest move here is just kind of a blip on the radar of the overall bearish trend that we've been in. And this gives you some kind of an idea of how much it's going to take to really push us out of this bearish momentum that we've been in for over a year now. So we've just had a very, very slight little uptick, guys, and really not much at all. But that 3,600 support area that's acting as support right now, we can see active as support all the way back here. This was all the way back in September of 2017. Of course, again, it broke below by a wick, but the body of the candle remained right there, right on top of that 3,600 for about 3 weeks. And then it just took off. Of course, we all know what happened after that. Coming back down, though, it's very interesting, as I pointed out in my last update, that we found support once again right there at that 3,600. Support for 3 weeks in a row again. Had a brief break below for that 2-week period, back above, and once again support. So that's very relevant. I do think if 3,600 does break decisively again, guys, I think it'll be a very quick drop, as I pointed out, to at least that 3,400 area, at least the prior, coming back and testing these prior lows. But looking at the big picture, we can see there's not a lot of support, and it's very likely that yes, it'll break down to that $3,400 to $3,200 area very, very quickly. In my opinion, but looking at the bigger picture, we can also see that there's an easy path all the way down here to that $3,000 to $2,500 range if that does break down. Now, again, that doesn't mean that has to happen, guys, but it just means we're not too. I mean, there's a very real possibility we are going to come back down and test at least 3,000, guys. And I do think if we ever get down here, I do think between 3,000 and 2,500, that would be a very good area to ladder in buy orders if you are looking to go long. I do believe I certainly will add to my long position if we do come back down into this area. I'll ladder in buys between 3,000 and 2,500, looking for a nice strong bounce. Now, again, there is a scenario, looking at the big picture, there is a scenario where we even come lower than that. If 2,500 does break down, guys, and we get into some serious FUD where a lot of people are just selling, everyone's thinking Bitcoin is dead, and coming down to this area with very, very low volume, if we get long starting to stack and shorts falling off the board, in other words, we get a lot of guppies, market makers will very easily drive price back down. And where is it going to go if 2,500 does break down? You can see, looking at the big picture chart here, guys, there's just no real good area of support between 2,500 until we get down to this area all the way down at about 1,100-1,200, guys. And there's a very strong support at 1,100-1,200. In fact, this goes all the way back to November of 2013, where this high was created, this pivot high, and then we had that long bear market, guys, all the way from the end of 2013 to all the way until it started to tick up again in 2015. Slow rise. We had a very strong resistance here, strong resistance area here, little kind of a small little cup, little handle pattern here, and then it just went off to the races. But you can see with these two pivot highs right here, where there's a lot of resistance right there at that $11 to $1,200 area. What was resistance should act as support if we do break down here. This is where I would go in very, very heavy between 11 and 1200 if we ever saw those prices. And again, this is not me spreading FUD. I don't think we're ever going to get here. But again, I just always want you guys to be to have these things in the back of your mind in case it does. You're going to be the exception. Everyone's going to be panicking. You're not going to be panicking. You're going to have a level head, and you're going to be entering into positions based on logic, not based on fear or FOMO, knowing that if you believe in blockchain technology, Bitcoin will end up coming back. And this is the area I'd be looking for a very strong reversal if that $2,500 does break down. That being said, I believe a reversal will likely happen in all likelihood, in all probability, between 3,000 and 2,500 if we do end up breaking below 3,600. So this is the area I'm going to be also going in, laddering in buys, but I'm going to have a very tight stop loss right below 2,500, probably at about 2,400. And this is where I'll be looking to re-enter if it does break down again. So again, guys, just kind of want to keep you in the loop. All right, going from the macro back into the micro, we're back on the 4-hour chart, guys. We can see, as I said, price breakdown. We're sitting right on top of this $3,600 range. Volume right now remains, in fact, let me refresh it, guys, so we have the most current overall daily volume sitting at about 4.9 billion on the day. Again, that's extremely weak. Looking at our long positions, longs are slowly starting to rise here from that drop-off. Overall, though, we can see that longs remain stacked, especially when we compare them to shorts. Shorts fell off the board here. We had a little bit of a small rally here, and then they're dropping off again. So overall, relative longs to shorts, longs remain stacked, shorts remain weak, which again, in a low volume market, which this is, that gives a lot of incentive to market makers to again drive price right back down. Now, it doesn't mean that's going to happen. It just means, you know, that's what we've seen here. And if we get more manipulation, there's a good probability that they are going to drive price down. That being said, it's a pretty obvious point at this point, guys. So obvious scenario at this point. So who knows? Market makers may do the exact opposite and bring us right back up. So this is just things I want you to keep in the back of your head. If we look over here at the daily chart, looking at our moving averages, exponential moving averages, as well as our Bollinger Bands, we can see that price broke down, hit right at the bottom of the daily Bollinger Band here, guys, and just been moving sideways ever since. We are sitting right on top of some decent support levels. That being said, obviously we broke below the 50-day moving average. Obviously we decisively broke below our 21-day EMA, which I always tell you guys, that's a very good indicator of momentum shift, and that certainly was in this case, momentum shifting from the from this bullish momentum that we had shifting immediately down over to the bears. That was a very good indication, guys, and we're still getting that. Excuse me, guys. Let me get a drink of water real quick. Okay, guys, back with you. So yeah, we're sitting right on top of some decent area of support here, guys. I'd like to see, if we do get a bounce, I need to see a decisive break above this 21-day EMA, certainly at least above the 50-day moving average, but more importantly above this 21-day EMA, this yellow line here. One bullish sign that we are seeing, guys, if I zoom in here, again, we're on the 4-hour chart, and I look at price, I go wick to wick from these two lows here. What do we have? We have basically a slightly lower low, really just, but just some sideways movement, really just kind of a double tap, a double bottom there. And I don't want to say a double bottom in the sense that that's typically a bullish sign and then we take off. We haven't had any kind of a reaction as of yet. But my point is, we didn't really create maybe a slightly lower low, but not much. Basically, kind of a double bottom pattern here. Why am I pointing that out? I'm pointing that out because if we look at the exact same point on our 4-hour MACD, look at our histogram, what do we see? Obviously, we can see the histogram is trending up. So that would be, pardon me, that would be bullish divergence, guys. That would suggest maybe a possible uptick here in price. That is one bullish sign. We're also seeing a similar pattern with the daily RSI. We can see the daily RSI. Let me get it here so you guys can see the daily RSI slowly ticking up there. Again, bullish divergence when comparing that to price. So that again does suggest we may start to see a slight increase in price. May get a little bounce there. Doesn't mean that's going to happen though, guys. Really kind of getting some mixed signals. We do have, again, the 4-hour MACD is showing the signal line sorry, guys, I just paused the video and get another drink of water. My throat is killing me here. So yeah, the signal line and the MACD line, in other words, the MACD line is about to cross over the signal line. The histogram is about to go into bullish territory. It hasn't happened yet, but it looks like it's about to. So that is, we're only on the 4-hour are we seeing this, guys. So that is a bullish sign, a temporary bullish sign, indicating we may get a slight little uptick, guys, but we're getting no real bullish indication at all for any kind of a sustainable run as of yet. Doesn't mean that it can't happen. It just just means we're not quite seeing it as of yet. One other bullish thing that I am seeing, though, if I just look at this as a basic pattern, and I know that this was manipulation, as I showed you guys here, I'll just draw it out here, guys. This kind of this Bart Simpson pattern that we saw right now. Why is my drawing tool not working? There we go. This Bart Simpson pattern that we saw here, where price comes up, moves sideways, and then just drops straight back down. So I mean, that was just classic manipulation. And what are we seeing here, guys? We can see that price dropped right back down, and we're just getting that. So again, this sideways movement. And again, this looks to me, again, like this kind of manipulation pattern here that we saw, this Bart Simpson pattern that we saw here where we saw price break down. This looks to me like we could see a little bit more of a little bit more sideways consolidation, and then another break to the upside. Possibly indicating possible, once again, a little more manipulation, a little more another Bart Simpson pattern, indicating more manipulation, guys, indicating that market makers may just kind of fake everybody out and bring price right back up. And again, overall, we're still trading right within this range right here. Really, nothing had really changed if they bring price right back up. And they are, anytime you see a lot of manipulation like that, guys, they are market makers. By they, I mean market makers. Market makers are infamous for driving price up, driving price right back down to where it came, then right back up to where it was. And overall, you're seeing they're just trading within one major range. And right now, that may be what we're seeing. I'm not saying that is, but I'm just saying, guys, that's kind of what I'm keeping an eye on. And if this does break up, guys, it may just be pure manipulation. And if that is the case, you're going to know it by the low volume. You're going to know it by a lot of, if they drive price up, they're going to know it by a lot of short positions getting even more liquidated than they are, and then they are going to likely trap people into longs. In other words, if we start to see longs, let me get back to longs here. If we start to see, if price goes up and we start to see longs just stack right off the board as shorts have fallen off, that's going to trap people high, and then they're very likely to bring price right back down. Again, if volume is low. If we get a nice spike in price and that's backed by a big increase in volume, that's going to be an extremely bullish sign. That's the kind of move that we're looking for, guys. Anytime you see a nice spike in price here, guys, you want to make sure it's backed up by volume. If it's not, question it. Every time, question it. So as before, guys, let me go back out here to the daily chart. I know I've shown you this almost every time I've done a video in the last few days, but I do think that it's an extremely relevant zone, going swing high, swing low of this overall larger structure. Obviously, we're finding resistance, as I showed you guys before, right there at that golden pocket between that 618 fib and that 65 fib level. So if we do get a price break back up, I'm just going to take it with a grain of salt until we can get on top of this golden pocket, until we break above decisively with volume above this golden pocket, which basically, if you did, I mean, just to keep things easy, right above 4,100. We get a decisive break right above 4,100. Again, the price point will be a little bit different depending on which exchange you're using. On Coinbase, it's approximately 4,100. On Bitfinex, a little bit higher. But really, you're just looking at this pattern. Wherever this 618 to 65 fib level, wherever this golden pocket lies on your exchange, that's the area you need to see a decisive break above. By decisive, I mean a daily candle opening and closing above that zone with volume backing it up. If that does happen, guys, that would be an extremely bullish sign, guys, and I may in fact start to think the bottom might be in. If we just get a breakup in price with very low volume and we once again get trapped into this zone or lower, I'm afraid it's going to be more than likely just manipulation, and it's just a matter of time before they're going to bring price right back down. And again, you need to take into account longs versus shorts and what kind of spread there is between the two and what the two are doing. So always taking in all data, guys, not just looking at any one point at all. To the downside, I want to see, as I said, if we break below 3,600, guys, things could get bearish decisively, I should say, not by a wick, but a decisive break below 3,600. We could see things at least falling down to this $3,400 to $3,250 area. But as I pointed out on the larger chart, very likely we could, certainly if this breaks down, we could be looking at a $3,000 Bitcoin, possibly even lower than that, as I pointed out earlier. All right, very quickly, I'm going to wrap up Bitcoin there. I want to look at EOS. This is going to be very quickly. Guys, on the last EOS update, I told you guys we were getting this. This was extremely obvious. EOS was getting compressed here, a series of lower highs, higher lows. Anytime you reach the apex of any kind of a wedge, by the way, this is EOS to the US dollar. We're looking at Bitfinex on the 4-hour chart. Anytime you see a wedge like this, guys, I told you to expect a larger move, and that's exactly what we got, guys. I told you that volume was very low, that probability-wise, this larger move would be down, even though there was a chance it could break up, but we knew that volume was low. We knew that Bitcoin was looking rather bearish, and we know that EOS often follows Bitcoin, and of course EOS ended up breaking down with that larger move here. I told you if we did break down that we'd probably find support about at this area here at $2.45. That's exactly what happened. Price broke down, and basically it's sitting almost exactly at $2.45, give or take 5 cents. Now initially we had broken below here. It got as low as about 235, at least on Bitfinex, but of course the bulls pushed it right back up, right into our known support area here, and we're just sitting here sideways. And once again, guys, as I showed you with Bitcoin, same pattern here. We're still seeing that. Look, it looks like a Bart Simpson type pattern, just pure manipulation where price comes down, moves sideways, and could break right back up into this area. Now that I say that as a could, doesn't mean it's going to, guys. Obviously EOS is going to follow Bitcoin. Whatever Bitcoin does, EOS is going to follow along with it. If Bitcoin does move sideways though, there's a good chance EOS may break up back into this area here between $3 and $2.70. But if Bitcoin does break down, EOS will break down with it, and there's if we get a decisive break below $2.45, I do think there's a very good chance we're going to come down to at least 211. They're between 245 and 211. There's just not a whole lot of support. Doesn't mean it will. It just means there is a very, very likely probability that if we do break below 245 decisively, not by a wick, but decisively, that we could quickly come down to this 211. If we do break into this zone here, guys, again, I'll take that with a grain of salt. I really want to see a decisive break above that $3 range. If we can break above $3, certainly getting into this 215 or 315 area at least, in my opinion, that would be a rather bullish sign. But we really need to take out this prior high of this structure here, and this prior high is sitting right around that 315 to 320 area. If we can get above that and consolidate above that, and 315 starts acting as support, again, that'd be an extremely, extremely bullish sign, guys. And at that point, I may start to think a bottom is in. As of right now, it's a crapshoot, guys. I would not be, unless you're holding for the long haul. By the long haul, I mean you're holding for a year or more. I would not be entering into any kind of, certainly no large positions, but I'd be just sitting back and waiting to see where price is going to break at this point. Certainly when looking at EOS. If price does end up coming back down to this 211 area, I may considering adding to my long position. If we get back down to $1.85 to $1.72, I will absolutely add to my long position with EOS. Again, not saying this is going to happen, just kind of giving you an idea, mentally preparing ahead, guys. When everyone else is panicking, you want to make sure you have a plan and can execute that plan. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap things there, guys. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, please leave them in the comment section below. As always, would appreciate an upvote if you have enjoyed this content. Until next time, guys, please trade safe, take care of yourselves. This is Working, signing out.